The cobbler's softest slippers. Shhh. It's time now, to slow down. To put the day behind you. And let your thoughts drift like leaves on a quiet stream. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your breath grow a little deeper. You are safe now. You're warm. You're welcome here. Let the world fade, gently. As you imagine the softest place you've ever known. Maybe it's wrapped in wool. Or the hush of twilight rain on an old tiled roof. Or the scent of fresh bread in a quiet, firelit room. Let all of it come now, softly. Because our story tonight sets sail in a village where time walks gently. And the slippers you wear might hold a secret, in a sleepy village that clings to the edge of the old forest. Where moss wraps low stone walls. And owls speak in echoes across the rooftops. The moon has just begun to rise, casting a silver hush over the cobblestone path. And there, at the bend in the lane, stands a little thatched cottage, soft-edged with ivy. Its chimney puffing a gentle curl of smoke into the night air. Within this humble cottage, by the hearth that always crackles and never complains, lives an elderly cobbler named Master Finlow. Master Finlow is known across the valley, not just for his kindness, but for the quiet magic in his hands. He makes slippers. But not just any slippers. Slippers so soft, so soothing, that some say they carry the weight of dreams themselves. They're made of velvet and felt, yes, but stitched with threads dipped in chamomile tea, and brushed with whispers of rosemary and lavender oil, to lull the spirit before sleep. And the truth that villagers whisper, over cups of honey milk and candlelight, is this: long ago, peasants believed that bare feet left dreams vulnerable. That wandering spirits might slip into stalls and carry unrest into sleep. So soft slippers, gently worn, became little shields of peace. Tiny guardians at the end of the bed. And Master Finlow is the last cobbler who still remembers that. Tonight, as the wind hums through the hedgerow, Finlow hums too, a little song without words. The fire glows amber gold, casting long shadows of tools and half-finished slippers. The scent of beeswax and warm leather floats in the air, mixed with the distant, drifting aroma of night jasmine blooming just outside the window. Tap, tap. Snip. The sound of his work is as soft as breath. Every stitch, slow and full of care. Every movement, a meditation. And nearby, curled by the fire like a cat, is a bundle of velvet, waiting. A pair of slippers meant for someone who's been having troubled dreams. A girl named Elsha, 8 winters old, sleeps with her fists clenched and eyes fluttering. Her mother says the dreams came after the last thunderstorm. Loud and long and full of racing hooves. Finlow nodded gently when he heard, his eyes crinkling with quiet knowing. And he began to stitch. The left slipper would be made with blue felt, the shade of river mist at dawn. The right, with soft green, like moss after rain. Into the stalls, Finlow presses dried rose petals, crushed finely and wrapped between cloth layers. A secret softness known only to the feet. Into the seams, he tucks a thread of moon-blessed wool, left outside under starlight the night before, as tradition quietly required. And on the inside edge, where the toes would just brush, he embroiders a tiny sigil. A simple spiral, symbol of gentle return. Old folk said it helps the soul circle safely back from dreams. Snip. Stitch. Pause. The candle beside him flickers. And the night deepens. The wind outside rustles the reeds gently. You might hear it, if you listen. It speaks not with worry, but with the slow, rhythmic breath of the earth resting. Owls call once, then again. But farther away now. It's as if even they know to hush when Master Finlow works. The stars blink slowly into view, like fireflies paused on the ceiling of the world. And the river, not far from the village, makes that soft, lullaby hush, as it winds past sleeping trees and sleeping sheep. Inside, Finlow smiles to himself. He always finishes the slippers just before midnight. There's something about the hour, the stillness, the way the veil between thoughts and dreams thins, that makes it the perfect time to seal in comfort. With the slippers wrapped in muslin and tucked into a small straw basket, Finlow steps into the night. His boots are old but well kept, and they barely whisper over the cobblestones. The village is still. Curtains drawn. Lamps dimmed. He makes his way slowly. Past the baker's. Past the quiet smithy. Until he reaches the small stone house where Elsha and her mother live. He places the slippers by the door. No need to knock. He knows they'll be found in the morning, and used that night. And with that done, he walks back the way he came. Through moonlight and lavender scent, humming the same wordless tune. And as you listen, you can imagine the warmth of the hearth still glowing, the softness of felt slippers on your feet, a deep exhale from a tired sky above you. The cottage door is closed now. The slippers are gone. But the peace remains. So take a moment now, and let your feet feel soft and warm. Let your breath slow, and your shoulders melt into whatever you're resting on. The cobbler's cottage is always there, somewhere in the quiet folds of sleep. And tonight, if you listen closely, you might hear the soft snip of thread, and the hush of a slipper being finished. Just for you. The stars are deeper now, sunk like seeds into a velvet sky. A hush has settled across the thatched rooftops, and even the crickets seem to sing in slower rhythm. Sleep wraps the village like a well-worn quilt, stitched with sighs, and held in place by the rhythm of breath. But back in the cobbler's cottage, the fire still breathes. It has softened to ember glow, a quiet nest of warmth. And Master Finlow is not yet done. He has another pair to make tonight. Not for a child this time, but for an old shepherd, whose feet ache when he sleeps, and who has begun to dream of cold stones beneath him, as though the hills themselves have crept into his bed. Finlow reaches for a bundle of wool, undyed, cloud-soft. It smells faintly of pasture and wind. He places it on his lap, and hums a deeper tune this time, slower, earthy. The shepherd's slippers must be thicker, sturdier. The soles are lined with bark cloth, softened in rosewater and stitched with linen thread. It's an old method, one Finlow's grandfather taught him. Bark remembers where the tree once stood, he used to say. It anchors the feet, even in sleep. As the cobbler works, the room seems to hum with stillness. The window fogs slightly. The walls glow faintly with firelight. And outside, a moth bumps gently against the glass, drawn to the flicker. Then flutters away again, content with the dark. Long ago, so long that only the oldest in the village remember, there was a belief that souls wandered in sleep. Not just in dreams, but truly, walking fields and forests while the body stayed behind. And so, people crafted dream shoes. Slippers lined with symbols and herbs to guide the spirit safely, so it would not lose its way. The shepherd's pair will carry a small pouch, sewn into each sole. Inside, a crumble of dried thyme and sage. Thyme for protection, sage to soften the path. Finlow folds the wool gently over the herbs, pressing them between layers like secrets. Snip. Stitch. Tie. The rhythm returns. A draft swirls gently under the cottage door. It carries the scent of frost-kissed leaves. And something fainter. Like wood smoke from far away. Finlow doesn't look up. He recognizes that breeze. It's from the hilltop, where old stones sleep beneath the earth. And deer sometimes pause to listen. Some say wind like that is full of voices. Not words, but memories. Calling softly to those who remember. The cobbler does. He always has. So he lays his needle aside. And closes his eyes for a moment. Letting the breeze pass over his worn hands. And then he whispers. Not to anyone present. But as a kind of reply to the wind. Still here, he says. Still making them soft. Both pairs are finished now. Wrapped. Tied with soft twine. Placed gently in a basket of woven rushes. Finlow stands, slowly, carefully. His knees creak like old stairs. But there's grace in the way he moves. A practiced stillness. He sets out again. This time with the shepherd's bundle under one arm. And the night air brushing softly against his face. The path to the shepherd's cottage is longer. Winding gently up the slope behind the village. Past brambles and hush-silent trees. Each step is slow. Measured. Like the ticking of a sleepy clock. When Finlow reaches the old stone cottage. He pauses, not just to breathe. But to listen. Inside, he hears the low growl of a sleeping dog. A hearth sighing as it settles. And deeper still. The soft shuffle of the shepherd turning in restless sleep. Finlow nods. And places the bundle on a wide flat stone beside the door. He pulls a smooth pebble from his pocket. White as bone. Marked with a spiral drawn in blue ink. It's an old token. A sign. He sets it atop the bundle. A signal for the shepherd to wear the slippers before sleep. And to rest his feet by the fire for a full hour beforehand. Not superstition. But ceremony. Soothing routine passed down like recipes for peace. Finlow turns. Begins the walk home. But this time. He whistles a low, slow tune. One that matches the rise and fall of his breath. Back in the heart of the village. The bells begin to chime softly. 12, they count. 12 slow, low notes. Each one feels like a deep breath. Stretching across rooftops and chimneys. Slipping into windows. Curling beneath blankets. The bell tower is old. And the bell itself is slightly cracked. Which makes its song feel like a whisper from another time. Finlow hears it. He always hears it. He reaches his door just as the last chime fades. Steps inside. Closes the latch. And for the first time in hours. He sits. Not at the workbench. But in the soft chair by the fire. He unties his boots. Wiggles his toes. And slides into a pair of his own slippers. Moss green and ash gray. Stitched years ago but still full of warmth. Tonight, as you listen. Your body may feel a little heavier now. Like your feet are warming. Even without shoes. Like something inside you recognizes. That softness matters. That stories don't just belong in books. But in the way slippers are made. Or how a cottage hums in quiet joy. When someone chooses peace. And so you rest. Maybe you hear a cobbler's soft snip of thread. Far off in the hush between breaths. Maybe you walk, dream-wrapped. Through a forest of moss. Wearing slippers stitched with time and velvet. Or maybe You are already asleep. And Master Finlow, somewhere, smiles at that. Because in the end, his work was never really about the feet. It was always about guiding the soul. Gently. Softly. Home.